So my mother, like, had spent her whole life, you know, sacrificed her life for her kids and to her husband, really, too. And she was making, I mean, she worked 40 hours a week and sometimes 50, and she was making $5,000 a year. And, and she did without so many things. Um, anyway, so we go in there and she was upstairs making beds and cleaning. And we're in my brother's room. I mean, he had moved out a long time ago, but his room was still there. And she was in there, and we were holding hands. And we said, "Mom, we want to get married." And she fell over
on the bed.
backwards on the bed. She fell over on the bed. She says, "If that's if that's true, I think I'm gonna die." She said something like that, and then she says, "Well, maybe." She says, "You just met each other." She goes, "Maybe you'll get sick of each other."
He's trying to be realist with you, and you're like,
"Oh gosh, Mom!" I was like, "No, Mom, we love each other. We're not gonna get sick of each other." And she'd be glad, and if he gets any information about what's going on Earth while you're in heaven, she knows we've been married now 48 years. So anyway, my dad's only comment was, he said, how are you going to support a wife? Which was also a very valid comment. Mary's dad was, he was the funniest one, because I went over there and, they asked for her hand in marriage, and I'm sitting in the living room, and I can't get anybody to sit down because they're all working, cleaning the house. And I finally said, "Mr. Flanagan, can I talk to you for a second?" And so he came over and sat right next to me where he's like touching me, right? And he turns his head to me, and I don't know, you're too young to remember Jack Benny, but Jack Benny was a TV comedian that was like one of the most funny people. It's sort of like Steve Martin today.
yeah,
Like just everybody loved him. And he had a guy who was sort of his foil, like, that would be a way you build a bunch of jokes around. And the guy would whenever he would see Jack Benny, he would say, "Yes," to Jack Benny, and everybody would laugh, right? So Mr. Flanagan gets right up to me and says, "Yes," just like that guy. And I said, "Well, I'd like to marry Mary." And he said, "Ted," that's what he called his wife's name was Frances, but he called her Ted, like teddy bear. "Ted, they're all leaving us," because her brother and her sister had gotten married, about the same time. So anyway, it was funny, and he was really great about it. What a great father-in-law he was. Anyway, so we went and got married September 10th. So we just had our 48th anniversary.
Oh, wow.
77. And in that same little church, weirdly enough, the minister was from White Deer, Texas, and he'd been assigned to a church in Philadelphia.
That's a change.
Yeah, right. So anyhow, we got married, went back and finished school. The incident, I told you about with the bus was something that happened in our first year of marriage near the end of the semester.
Oh, this was, okay, so you were married when this happened.
I was married.
Oh, okay. I thought you were still like just finishing up.
I was a third-year law student. Mary was with me a third year. We moved into a apartment at 35th and Honore in Chicago. Over it was an old carriage house, where they used to have carriages, and there was an apartment up there, and we lived there, and there was a half of it, and then there was this Andre and Jeanette next to us, a couple people, and we had the first year of marriage, we were very happy, and fun, and I worked hard on my schoolwork, and I had a lot of job opportunities, and you know, I couldn't make up my mind what I wanted to do because I could stay in Chicago, try to go to Philadelphia, Kansas City, and then there was some Minneapolis, a Minneapolis offer. Uh, and then we looked at some smaller cities, including Amarillo. The Amarillo thing was just like out of the weirdness because these guys from Amarillo came up to the school and they were recruiting. And I thought, I never even heard of Amarillo. I said, so I think I'll go. I think I'll go to the interview, sign up for it just for fun. And these two guys from Amarillo came up. I really liked them, and they invited Mary and me down for Thanksgiving dinner. We went down there, flew down here in '77 for Thanksgiving dinner. But I told everybody no. I turned down all my offers because I was worried about my dad because I could tell he was declining, and I thought I needed some time to think about what I really wanted to do. So we went again. We went to the shore and got kind of a cheap place, not in the town, sort of out in the dunes, sort of. It was a pretty wild area at the time in terms of just sort of nature.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw whales beached there, like actual whales, and giant tortoises that got stuck up on the beach. Oh my gosh, that place really was a sort of a wildlife haven. Anyway, so we spent the summer there. I took the New Jersey bar, passed the bar. And at the end of the summer, I said, Mayor, we got to make a decision what we're going to do. I know we can't stay here. This is no place for a lawyer. And I said, we prayed and prayed about it. And I really felt like the place I loved, the people I loved, that I thought loved us, was here. And I called the guy from Amarillo, and I said, hey, do you still want me? Because I had told him no. And he said, come on back down. So I flew back down, and it was September 9th of 77. Or not September 9th. It would be, we got married 77. So this would be September 9th of 78. And because I graduated law school in June of 78. So I flew back down. They still wanted me. I flew back, and I got back to the apartment, like drove from the airport, got back about 11:30 at night. I had a 6-pack of beer with Mary, and I had a beer and celebrated, that was going down. And then October 6th, we drove down here in my 62 Chevy Bel Air that I bought for I don't know, I think I bought it for 100. I think the deal was I got it for like 100 and it was $105, but then I kept the tires off of my Pontiac and put them on this car. Mm-hmm. So it was so I had to pay an extra $30 or something. Yeah, because she was going to have to. I mean, I put the old tires off of the Chevy and went there. But anyway, so I had that old car. We drove down. Mary and I painted it ourselves with Rust-Oleum damp-proof primer. It was our hand-painted car because it was rusting out. It only had like 50,000 miles on it, but it had rusted out from the shore, from the ocean. Yeah, salt air. So it lasted a long time after I moved here. I actually gave it away to somebody, and they ran it without oil, and then some other guy that I knew got it, and he refurbished it, and it ran for years. For all I know, it's still out there somewhere, with that VIN number.
Waiting for you to call it back.
I don't know, but it might still be out there. Anyhow, so we got here, and we loved the Wittenbergs. As soon as we got here, we joined the First Presbyterian Church here. They were so kind to us the first weekend, and you know, so that's kind of where
So what brought you through?
this place has been such a blessing to us. And part of it was, I mean, in addition to, I love how Christian Amarillo is. I mean, I love like the seriousness of
Hmm.
it here, but also just being away from the violence of the city did make a difference to me. I mean, I had in mind, I mean, that was one of the things that kind of turned me off to the big cities was, do I just want to deal with this like my whole life where there's always going to be a subset of people who just hate me for no reason at all, just because I'm on the earth, you
Hmm.
know? And the answer to that, of course, is no. I
Yeah.
don't want to be there. Um, and here I never felt that ever. And I made a lot of friends, uh, here through basketball with a lot of black people, including some that had connections to Philadelphia
Hmm.
and the Eagles. There was one guy that I met down here, Donnie Shanklin, that I had a friendship with that had tried out for the Eagles, but he dropped the kickoff, and so he got cut. But then he played in the World Football League for the Philadelphia Bell until the World Football League went out of business. Then he came back down here. Now he was a great golfer, in
Hmm.
addition to being an excellent basketball player too. So we played in the Pard League together. He's a good guy. Anyway, I just made a lot of friends down here, all walks of life, and that it's been a great place for us, just a great place. So that's a good place to break right there, and then we can pick up on the life in Amarillo.